Electors must wear a mask and have their hands sanitized. Electors must observe 6 feet physical distancing and remove your mask when instructed by the presiding officer so you may be identified. You will be issued a ballot along with a pencil and directed to the voting booth. Hand your ballot to the presiding officer and place your pencil in the box for used pencils. Sanitize your hand before dipping your finger in the electoral ink. This is a message from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica.
We start off Mello TV Sports with some school sports news as the Inter-Secondary School Sports Association ISSA announced yesterday via a press release that they have cancelled all sporting activities for the Christmas term of the 2020 to 2021 academic year. This after the recent spike in COVID-19 cases across the island. Schools were closed in March and were expected to resume face-to-face classes on September 7. But on Friday, the Education Ministry announced that they would push the reopening of schools to October 6. The press release further stated, and I quote, "Having previously proposed an October 16, 2020 restart to our competitions, ISSA will use the next 8 weeks to reassess the conditions under which schools will reopen and how they will operate subject to this assessment and the suitability of conditions." End quote. Boys and Girls Athletics Championships was the first to be cancelled in March due to COVID-19. Raheem Sterling and Chris Gayle, who reportedly partied with Usain Bolt on the weekend, have returned negative COVID-19 tests. Sterling has returned a negative result after attending Bolt's party and was named in the England squad today for next month's Nations League fixtures. The winger will take another test upon his return to the UK. Gayle, meanwhile, is set to link up with his Kings 11 Punjab teammates in the UAE on time after returning 2 negative COVID-19 tests. There had been reports that he had attended the birthday celebrations of Usain Bolt. Gayle, the highest run scorer in T20s, posted the news on his Instagram stories with videos of his swab testing prior to his flight to the United Arab Emirates. Upon arrival in the UAE, he will be tested at the airport, followed by a 6-day quarantine with further testing on days 1, 3, and 5. Only once those are cleared can team members start training in the biosecure bubble. Finally, in the sports news tonight, Janelle Fowler won the battle against fellow Sunshine girl Shimona Nelson as the West Coast Fever defeated the Collingwood Magpies 71-57 in the Suncorp Super Netball League in Australia today. Fowler scored 62 of 67 attempts while grabbing 4 rebounds for the Fever. Nelson scored 12 of 14 attempts for the Magpies. The Fever has climbed to 4th position, amassing 12 points with 3 wins and 4 losses, while the Magpies are at the bottom of the table with only 1 win and 6 losses. Also on the track today, Romelda Aiken scored 43 of 49 attempts with 2 super shots, but was on the losing end as her Adelaide Thunderbirds suffered a narrow 65-66 loss to the Giants. Now Aiken, who is second to Fowler with goals scored 225 from 271, she leads Fowler in rebounds 50-27. And those are the stories making sports news tonight. We now head back to the news desk with Shelley and Hill.
Thank you, Christopher. And now to end tonight's newscast, here are the main points. The JLP releases its manifesto entitled Stronger Future. Stay tuned to Mello TV for the national debate live starting at 9 p.m. Immediately following the debate, join host Jackie Norman with political analyst Paul Bourne and our panelists as they break down the social issues discussed and rate the debaters. And Mayor of Kingston, Delroy Williams, tours sections of Kingston and St. Andrew to view the damage caused by the recent heavy rainfall. And that's our news package for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in to Mello TV Evening News at 8. I am Shelley-Ann Hill. Stay safe and pleasant viewing.
Find out where you are to vote by calling the EOJ or checking the EOJ website. Remember to bring your voter ID card. Current voter ID cards are valid until December 2020. Remember, you may still vote without your ID card, but the process will be longer. Listen to the instructions of the presiding officer. Mark your ballot behind the voting booth and return your ballot to the presiding officer folded. Once the counterfoil is removed, your ballot cannot be traced back to you. Dip your finger in the ink and watch as your ballot is deposited into the ballot box.
Your vote is your voice. Make it count.